Sivusele bongosi lo mhla ke insuku utimfica isolo sikuyo inyanga yeNdlovana eminyakeni wa2024 sivusela nonke bongosi lapho nikhona khona magumbini amane omhlaba libito lami ngusifiso nganquma lo kanti ngiyangihamba ngedwa nginemfombeni njengenjwayelo mfombeni. Good morning, how are you?
I'm well, I'm great. It's a beautiful day lamuhla ilanga lelikhulu kakhulu namuhla kubhekile ukuthi isilo semhlaba siyovula iParliament lamuhla the 12th Parliament ilanga lidabe libalele lapha kalobamba mkhulu.
Cishe sonke vele savele sigezeta indlebe bekunene sikhokheta ikona kona endlebeni sesikathe nomkhombandlela ekuthenini live libhekaphi kwewela kunaso isigaba ke lesikuso kutavulwa yona iParliament yelishumi nakubili unyaka ke lomkhulu kakhulu lona iParliament lungenele inombolo nje lelishumi nakubili inombolo lenkulu kakhulu lenedinhlanhla sonke ke excited for that development esukwini lalomuhla kodwa ke njengoba kungilesihlanu siyafuna ukukhulumisa temidlalo kuyajabulisa ukuthi Yama Cup iyabuya kule mphela sonto sitabona nje imidlalo lemnanzi kakhulu tavulwa iGreen Mamba neNsingizini Hotspurs nga 1:30 PM kusasa kanti ke Young Buffalo sitabe seyidlala neMadlenya ngakwa quarter-to-4 nsambama sitaqhubeka nangisonto ke sibona leminye imidlalo lefaya khathi Impabane Swallows letawuhlangana nePicks Peak Rangers nga 1:30 bese Impabane Highlanders itfolana neZulwini United nakubumbana insimbi yesine nsambama manje ke siyafuna ke kubuka iAfrica Cup of Nations njengoba sibonile ukuthi iSouth Africa akuhambi kahle since lifting their first and only CAF AFCON title ngeminyaka wa1996 ngathi they have been on a downward spiral that saw them lose their contender title over the years. South Africa and Democratic Republic of Congo will be looking at bowing out in style therefore of the CAF Africa Cup of Nations Cote d'Ivoire 2023. Both sides were knocked out of the title race during their semi-finals. Lapho khona Bafana idliwe 4-2 kuma penalties after a 1-1 draw with Nigeria. Kanti ke DR Congo yona idliwe by a slim margin ya 1-0 against the hosts Cote d'Ivoire. Now, all eyes are on the titanic clash which awaits African football as Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire contest the CAF AFCON 2023 final Nelsonvo. This heavyweight bout sees the bitter rivals collide with continental glory at stake. When these fours last met in the group stage, Nigeria yakhona ke ukuthi ishayela ama-hosts 1-0. Ngabe ke score sitawuba kanjani kule mphela sonto sitawubona ngalo sonto. Sitayibuka ke naleminye imidlalo lekhona eNingizimu Afrika kusewelele khona eNgilandi encenye sifike nase Spain if time is going to allow.
Yeah, kanti ke lomhla ngilesihlanu ngabo lesihlanu sikhuluma dona indaba tekubhadala kwamthelo. In today's session we'll be talking about withholding tax on non-resident entertainers and sportsmen income sourced from Eswatini. It is mostly directed to locals who usually engage non-resident entertainers and sportsmen lokufaya khathi local agents kanye nema-promoters. Sidabe sinaye Ntobeko Dlamini loswakhona ka-IRS long marketing and communications manager sichazela kabanti siphindze ke sikhulumisane nemxhumanisi wamaphoyisa nesive phindile vela kade njengoba sivedile ukuthi ilanga lelikhulu kade lamhla lapho kubhekile ukuthi isilo semhlaba siyovula iParliament khona lapha kalobamba sifuna ukukhulumisana naye ngetindzaba te-safety kuva kokuthi ngabe amaphoyisa alungele kanganani kwenta isiqiniseko sokuthi konke kuhamba kahle emsebenzini walamuhla siphinde sikhulumisane naye ngepolicy labayilonchile itolo esikunyiswa ngokusemthethweni ngumhlonishwa Ndvenankulu Russell Dlamini i-media communication policy sifuna ukuva ukuthi ingabe vele icukethe ini le policy nekuthi itabasida kanjani ekwendeni umsebenzi wabo. Sidabe sinabo lomhla ekseni at 6:30 kumanje sibuke nathi nethamba imbili kumaphephandaba. Masikile thamba imbili sibuka Eswatini Observer lomhla ekseni kule thamba imbili. Prime Minister tells CEO stop relying on government, challenges parastatals. He has challenged parastatals to start self-sustaining projects worth over 1 billion emalangeni. Nansi kuletinye lethamba imbili sitfombekelesa a group of young men assisting a police officer apprehend a man who was fleeing after dumping his 2 children at the Gables police post. Lesinye sitfombekelesa lapha so ngena khona lapha evenini. Kulenye lehamba imbili Masters probe Hlobi reveals 30 million emalangeni estate.
Yeah, Funny takes a swipe at EFA and PLE. Temidlalo, that's the leading story. Kanzike lenye ithi 3 players have been ruled out of Ingwenyama Cup last 8. Kanzike leyo ndzaba leyo iphindze ipheketelwe ngiwema weekend fixture ayo Ingwenyama Cup.
All right, moving on to the Eswatini Daily News. Letamba Mbili, Prime Minister bemoans wage inequality in Parastate Hills. Kanti kulenye lihamba imbili, new board takes over at helm of Ekeswa and no fuel hike in February.
Temidlalo, Qiniso Nyawo has been suspended again. This Mbabane Solos goalkeeper has been suspended by the Capital City Giants for misconduct yet again. Zweli Dlamini left out of Africa Games squad. Kulabagela Bashas Bagela. Kanzike Gcina FIFA sin bin blue card is in the pipeline. Hamba embili emaphephandabeni live lomhla ekseni kungu lesihlanu sitawuba hlola emakethe sibuye sibuke indzaba desiswati.
Let us all partake as the King sets out the government agenda for the next parliamentary session. Be part of our live broadcast as we ensure that you do not miss out as His Majesty delivers the speech from the throne. His Majesty King Eswatini III will officially open the first session of the 12th Parliament on Friday. Eswatini TV will provide rolling coverage of the state event from 9 a.m.
I'm a very happy customer.
I know.
Imali ebhizinisi ayidliwa wayidla utobulala phansi.
Hayi imisebenzi yethu lesiyendako la ekhaya njengoba niyibona lihlenda kangaka.
Ngiyakolosha, which is crocheting.
Ngiyakhicita ke noko kakhulu emsebenzini wethu ikhumba.
Ngenda kwegaba emacici nokwegaba entsanyeni.
Ngilungisa emagedlela.
Hello, how are you? We are selling peanuts at 5. Thank you so much. Umdala kubusi. Find the scratch, babe.
Kwelelihlelweni imfica-ke imizuzu solokubumbene insimbi yesithupha sitawethabela tindzabate siswati kutekugabanga yona insimbi yesithupha. Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu Russell Dlamini sewukhutsate emaphoyisa ekutheni asebentele live abeke embili umsebenzi ngaso sonke isikhathi hhayi lokunye. Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu bekakhuluma ePolice Academy kuMatsapha ngalesine ngesikhathi kunemhlangano weminyaka wemaphoyisa lasetinkhundleni lowatiwa nge-annual A conference.
Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu Russell Dlamini uthe amaphoyisa akangadibeki wona embili nekudati kwawo kodwa-ke abeke embili umsebenzi asebentele live ngaso sonke isikhathi. Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu uthi amaphoyisa akabe sibuko sesive asasebenta lawo lentela umsebenzi wobuphoyisa phansi asuswe.
Integrity bekunene kwethembeka icala la umsebenzi uthi wethembeke nawenda umsebenzi nineke nabakithi live lonke liyasibuka ukuthi singemaphoyisa sinayo yini integrity siyayenza yini excellence sithembekile yini kuyadingeka ke national commissioner ne-commanding team yakho ngokuthi kwateke nje vele ukuthi ngibani leliphoyisa leli lisitayo ngibani leliphoyisa leli angi-attendako mina nangikhuluma neliphoyisa nje nale ngi-attenda ngingaze ngiyobuta ukuthi ngibani lolu longisitayo so that we can easily identify amaphoyisa lasendela phansi.
Lo sabambe kuba ngumphathi wamaphoyisa Lydia Dlamini uthe dinenge tinkinga letikhona kufaka ekhathi ukubabede kwetimoto tekusebenta nekwekusebenta kodwa ke bayasebenta kufeza umgomo wahulumende.
Our vision as a service is to extol the virtues of excellence and professionalism, which are one of the guiding ethos of the new government in its quest to deliver service to Eswatini in an efficient manner. Our meeting here today is to discuss how that excellence can be infused in all our operating mechanisms and systems so that we are able to be an organization that truly delivers policing services in a manner that meets His Majesty's government and the nation's expectations.
Uthike nebucala bukhulile ngeminyaka wa-2023 nawucasanisa neminyaka wa-2022. Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu-ke uthi tinkinga letikhona emaphoyiseni kufaka ekhatsi kushoda kwetimoto titawusebentwa netimoto letinsha titawutsengwa wacela-ke ukuthi tiphathwe kahle wathi netindlu temaphoyisa titawakhiwa tiphindze tilungiswe kabusha. Etindzabeni kubeka Giyani Msibing sePolice Academy kuMatsapha.
Kanzike kulokunye umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu Russell Dlamini uthi inkhohlakalo engiletinye tetintfo letawutisebenta hulumende njengekusho kwesibaya. Kanzike umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu uthi nasemaphoyiseni inkhohlakalo ayibekwe nayikhona. Bekakhuluma ePolice Academy nakuvulwa lo mhlangano wemaphoyisa lasetinkundleni yemaphoyiseni.
Sibaya sakhuluma ngalokujulile ngekuthi akuliwe nenkohlakalo lekungiyona icekela phansi intuthuko eveni laseSwatini. Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu Russell Dlamini uthi isihlava lesiyinkohlakalo kusotoliwa naso impela. Wathi-ke nasemaphoyiseni kubede nakancane liphunga lenkohlakalo.
Nimtoka kakhulu ekulwenana i-corruption eveni. Ayingabi khona le corruption eveni. Kodwa ingabi khona nalakini. Ngoba icala lapho le corruption lokunye lokubulala i-motivation national commissioner ukuthi kube nebantu labapromotekayo bangazi ukuthi bapromoteka kanjani. Uyafika nje naso uyacanza nje uyacanza hawu uyasishiya thina labanye. Lokho kusho ukuthi-ke bese sekuthi ungiphocelela ukuthi ngingendisisi ngingadimisele. Siyacela-ke ukuthi ama-promotions national commissioner akabe transparent. Akavele nje aba-transparent, angabi based kakhulu ekutheni wathi bani. But akabe nje kokuthi wendeni ungendani based on your qualification. Sikhulumile nebaholi bawo umbutho wembukwe ukuthi asithole indlela yokunyusa kwati emaphoyiseni ne-exposure ukuthi cha phela akungapho kuhamba abantu bani uphumela ngelivi ngaphandle kwale live nekuyofunza nekuyobona thina. Akwendeke nje ukuthi sathi ukuthi lamhla kuhambe lo kusasa kuhamba la. Ngaphandle kwema responsibility siyathi ukuthi kunetigaba ukuthi la kuleti gaba leti kuhamba baba. Kepha-ke kukhona la opportunity for growth. Akahambe phela nalamanye ama-officers. Athi nakafika lapha abese athi abenawo sa-exposed.
Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu-ke ubese uvula ngalokusemthethweni ne-media policy nekuyindlela yetekuchumana leyadisa sive ngamsebenzi wemaphoyisa. Etindzabeni ngeNgiyani Msibing sePolice Academy kuMatsapha.
Kanzike umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu Russell Dlamini ubese ukhutsata tinkampani tahulumende ukuthi indlela yato yekusebenta ayihambisane naloko lokwashiwo sibaya lokufaka ekhatsi kuniketa civil sito lolusezingeni lelisetulu kwesekela insha ukuthi icale emabhizinisi kanye nekusungula ematfuba emsebenzi. Ndvunankhulu ukuvete lokhu ngesikhathi ahlangene nabosihlalo bemabhodi kanye nebaphatsi betinkampani tahulumende ezulwini.
LaseSwatini linetinkampani tahulumende leti-48. Lo muhla-ke umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu Russell Dlamini utholile ithuba lekuvuselana nabosihlalo bemabhodi kanye nebaphathi lesingasibo CEO bato letinkampani tahulumende. Akhuluma egameni lebaphathi bale tinkampani, Dumisani Msibi uceleke uhulumende ukuthi ayilungise imithetho labasebenta ngayo ngoba leminye yayo semitsala kakhulu.
We remain at the full disposal of government to diligently discharge our respective roles in the socio-economic development of the country.
Muzi Dlamini lomelele bosihlalo bemabhodi laluse tinkampani tahulumende unikete Ndvunankhulu Dlologcina kutsi bayawata umsebenzi wabo bayawuqondza futhi.
Central to the responsibility upon the public enterprises largely is the delivery of much needed services to the larger populace of our country.
Ndvunankhulu utsi awuphele utsinya umoya wekudvonsisana kungabanjiswana emkhatsini kwetinkampani tahulumende. Ndvunankhulu utsi letinkampani atigcile emigomeni yato letasungulelwa yona futhi tichamuke nemasu lajulile kwakha timali kuletoke letibheke kutsi takhe inzuzo.
Every time my colleagues like you leave the office, I tend to wonder how we think that we can continuously ask government to subvent entities that should actually be making profit. That government should continuously subvent even if we don't deliver anything. And we are even bold to come late and to ask for more salaries. So this indicates that we need some introspection. We need to reflect more. I noticed that we have created a serious problem of inequality. Executives are paid exorbitantly. They are paid exorbitant salaries, while junior staff are paid very little. With every measure and every increment that is allocated, the gap, the inequality increases.
Ngenyanga yengci eminyakeni lophelile nalibhange lakamhlaba likhipha ke umbiko wekuqala ngemnotho live laseSwatini laveta ukuthi kunetindvo letitsite lekubheka ukuthi ke tilungiswe kuze tinkampani tahulumende tikhone kutimela tidlale nenzima yato ekufuleni umnotho. Lokhu kufaka ekhatsi kulungisa imitsetfo lesebenta ngayo letinkampani kanye nekuphathwa nekweluswa kwato phecelezi i-governance and oversight. Ndizabente Eswatini TV ngilingithini Gule sezulwini.
Indvuna yelitiko letekwatisa umhlonishwa Savannah Maziya itsite kusakata timcoko emgomeni welive wekutfutfukisa tebuchwephesha. Indvuna ke beyikhuluma ngesikhatsi ivakashela umsakato wemoya Eswatini Broadcasting and Information Services EBIS.
Indvuna yetekwatisa tebuchwephesha netekuchumana umhlonishwa Savannah Maziya ivakashele lo msakato yakhonjiswa emagumbi ekusakata lasezingeni lelisetulu lahambisana netikhatsi talomuhla tekusakata. Njinela lomkhulu kulo msakato Siboniso Vilakati uchazele indvuna ngendlela lasebenta ngawo lamagumbi.
Inside the studio, in the past, it was hard to monitor what is happening off air, emakhaya. But now we can monitor it here. When she's here, she can see what's happening kule transmitter lesemakhaya.
Indvuna seyivusela tisebenti talo msakato ivete bumcoka betekusakata ekucinisekiseni ukuthi live lifeza ngalokuphelele umgomo walo wekutfutfukisa tebuchwephesha nekwanzisa lwati.
Part of the strategy of ICT is to digitize and get government to be fully digitized. Now, you play an important role in that. You are already highly digitized. And when I look at your studios, they're so wonderful. But how do we educate the nation when the government has become digitized, or as we become a digital nation? You are so critical in that journey to be able to inform those in the rural areas, the youth, commerce, and every stakeholder on how we're going to work as government going forward. If as ICT, our strategy is actually adopted, we really are going to change how government works so that government comes closer to the people as opposed to the people going to government. And so this is going to be a game changer if we're all able to work together.
Indvuna iphindze ithi indzaba yekutfutfukisa kusebentisa kwetebuchwephesha kumele kube kusemgomeni walo lonke liswati kute live litfutfuke ngalokuphelele. Etindzabeni yeSwatini TV kubika Samkelsuwe Khoza ngisembabane.
Indvuna yelitiko letekulima umhlonishwa Mandla Chauka ithi tekulima tingumgogodla wekucedza busweti kwakheke nematfuba emisebenti. Indvuna beyikhuluma ngesikhatsi yemukela luhlelo lwekulima titselo kuhulumende welive leTaiwan.
Lolu hlelo soluchujwe iminyaka lemine kanti libuke kukhicita banana, emagwava, emapopo nemapitaya kanti liphindze libuke nekutfola timakethe tangaphandle kwelive tebalimi baletitselo. Lonxusele live leTaiwan kuleli Jeremy Liang wetfule lolu hlelo endvuneni yelitiko letekulima.
A revolving fund of 3 million emarangeni from the sales of fruits, seedlings and fruits, assets and equipment worth 4.3 million emarangeni, including 3 vehicles, tissue culture lab equipment, and net houses, to the Ministry of Agriculture. In addition, there are currently 100,000 banana seedlings in the net room, which are worth about 1.5 million emarangeni, with a total value of 8.8 million emarangeni. We are transferring all equipment and funds to the Ministry of Agriculture.
Indvuna yetiko letekulima umhlonishwa Mandla Chauka uthi lolu hlelo tawufaka sandla emgomeni welive yokucedza indlala.
The mandate of the current government is clear, as given by Emakosi and the people at the recent SBAI. This mandate is to make sure that we stop hunger and poverty in the shortest time possible. Ngesiswati sithi asithi ngwe sicedze busweti nendlala eveni ngwenyama. Agriculture, as the ambassador is also alluded, is at the center of this mandate, and it forms a significant sector of the economy. In any case, a country that can't feed itself risks losing its sovereignty. It is imperative, therefore, that we develop and implement pragmatic strategies that will move the sector forward. The ministry is completing and intends to implement with vigor and follow through a strategic plan that will take the sector on an upward trajectory. This plan will feed into the government's grand plan, which will be the ultimate product of SBAI as commanded by His Majesty.
Indvuna iphindze yasukumisa sigaba sesithatfu salolu hlelo lesitawuchujwa iminyaka lemithatfu. Etindzabeni yeSwatini TV kubika Samkelsuwe Khoza ngiseMalkens.
Indvuna yetemfundvo umhlonishwa Owen Nxumalo seyimemetele libandla lebacondzisi belibandla lelibhalisa luhlolo i-Exams Council of Eswatini. Lelibandla luholwa nguDokotela Sipho Shongwe longusihlalo.
Indvuna yetemfundo umhlonishwa Owen Nxumalo ithi libandla lebacondzisi litawenta ukuthi kusebenteke kahle ka-Exams Council njengoba kukhona bekungendeki kahle ngalokuphelele ngenxa yekubabete kwelibandla lebacondzisi.
Chairman ke wethu utaba Dr. SS Shongwe yena ke chairman utaba khona bese ke kuba na director waka education akekho la naye utawungena kule board bese ke kule board itaphindze kube na PS waka finance bese kuphindze futhi sithola ne-representative yaka AG bese ke sithola ke loqhamuka ka high education babe Dlamini nangaceni kwami naloqhamuka ke ku high school ngibabe Mhlanga nanuya bese ke sithola ke na head teacher loqhamuka ke primary kubeke ngibabe Ngutha kutabe seke kuba na director loqhamuka NCC babe Hlophe phelela lapho ke le board bese ke kuba na CEO
Leli bandla-ke labacondzisi litawuba sehhovisi isikhathi lesingengci iminyaka lemithathu. Endzabeni kubika Giyani Msibi, ngiseMbabane.
Indvuna yetekwatisa umhlonishwa Savannah Maziya uthi betindzaba ababambise hulumende kuveta sitfombe lesingiso ngelive nekutfutfukisa live kutekwatisa. Indvuna beyikhuluma ngesikhatsi ivakashele liphephandzaba i-Eswatini Observer.
Indvuna yetekwatisa tekuchumana nebuchwephesha umhlonishwa Savannah Maziya ufike emahhovisini aleli phephandzaba i-Eswatini Observer wahlangana netisebenzi wase uyadvumisa umsebenzi labawentako ekwandziseni lwati eveni. Kanti umcondzisi weliphephandzaba i-Eswatini Observer Aleni Mkhonda ubikele indvuna ukuthi basebenta ngekutikhandla kubambisa hulumende kufeza imigomo yakhe, kepha badzinga nabo kubanjiswa nguye hulumende baliphephandzaba kute bakhicite ngalokuphelele.
As you meet this hardworking team here, labasebenta with very scant resources. They are a dedicated team. You find them in the environment where they work every day. The nerve center, newsroom. Every day, bafuna things about it for it. Every day, bafuna ma-adverts for it. And that's where we make the money. So as they do their work, maybe maybe perhaps as we get advertising revenue from the government system, kube khona nanathi lesikutfola kube enough.
Indvuna ibese ikhutsata leli phephandzaba ukuthi lidlale indzima ekwandziseni umniningwane longuwo ngelive laseSwatini.
We cannot change or upgrade or improve the image of the country without your participation. So you are a partner in crime in this situation. You're a partner in our development. You're a partner in our growth. Now, as a government, I would have loved for you to also be our partner in advising us about our image. There's also, from your perspective, a requirement to globalize us. I think we may run the risk of being too insular and too inward-looking. And that's not a good place to be. It's like living in a bubble. There's a whole world out there that's not frightening, that we can actually be a part of and still maintain Muswati Betu and still maintain our specialness, but also bring it in so that we can be this first world. We're not going to be this first world when we're just insular and not working with global partners.
Kulokunye tisebenzi taleli phephandzaba ticele ukuthi indvuna ihlolisise indzaba ekufinyelela kumininingwane yahulumende lemcoka nendzaba imitsetfo lebonakala icindzetela kubhala ngekukhululeka kwetinsatheli telive. Etindzabeni ye-Eswatini TV kubika Samkal Swekhoza Sembabane.
Kutemidlalo likhethelo lesive lemidlalo werugby sizeze sesihleti endzaweni yelikhulu nakubili 102 kuma World Rugby Rankings kumavela 112 emhlabeni. Kazi-ke inhlangano ledlalisa lo mdlalo kuleli ithi luhlelo lwema-7-a-side lolisukunyiswe kulo mnyaka losetulu lutawusita ukuthi likhethelo lesive licale kwenta kangcono kuwo ema-rankings.
Ikhethelo lesive lemidlalo werugby lakuleli sizeze sisendzaweni yesi-104 kumiphumela ema-World Rugby Rankings kumavela nga-112 emhlabeni. Le miphumela ikhishwe inhlangano lengamele kudlalisa lo mdlalo emhlabeni kuleli viki. Sizeze sibonakala sihlete endzaweni yinye yesi-104 njengoba nakuphela umnyaka lophelile wa-2023 besolo sihleti kuyo le ndzawo. Lokho-ke kuyinkomba ukuthi sikhona sidzinga ukuthi leli khethelo lingenele imigcudzelwano tsite kude likhona kwenyuka kuwo ema-rankings. Inhlangano ledlalisa lo mdlalo lapha eveni ithi luhlelo lisebalicalile kulo mnyaka lekunaka sigaba sema-sevens kuba babe kanye nakubomake banalo lithemba ukuthi batawukhona kunyuka kuwo ema-rankings. Le nhlangano ithi kusebenzisana nato tikolwa ukuthi kuhlale njalo kunemigcudzelwano itawusita likhethelo lakuleli ukuthi likhule kuwo ema-rankings. Le nhlangano ithi kusifiso ukuthi nakuphela umnyaka losetulu inyuka kuwo ema-rankings ibe semkhatsini kwemavela ngu-80 emhlabeni. Eminyakeni lophelile sizeze sadlala nemavela afaka ikhathi Botswana ephindze ngenela emidlalo ema-African qualifiers kulo mbiko livele eNingizimu Afrika ema-Springboks laphakamisa indzebe yemhlaba eminyakeni lophelile soluluhleti esicongweni kanti lilandzelwa live le-Ireland. I-New Zealand yona isendzaweni yesithathu kuwo ema-rankings. Lobikela umsakazo Eswatini TV kutemidlalo ngilinda Dlamini kanti umbiko uhlanganise nguFabrice Msonera eMbabane.
Tingako tinsabate Swati sitawubahlola emakethe sitawubuya sikhulumisane nemxhumanisi wamaphoyisa eMbube neSive Chief Pico.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007 *3 *7#, or you can use Eswatini Imali. You can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any NetBank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Let us all partake as the King sets out the government agenda for the next parliamentary session. Be part of our live broadcast as we ensure that you do not miss out as His Majesty delivers the speech from the throne. His Majesty King Eswatini III will officially open the first session of the 12th Parliament on Friday. Eswatini TV will provide rolling coverage of the state event from 9 a.m.
Welcome back. Sakuvusela nolasanza kusivulela. It's a Friday on Fridays. Siteka na tindzaba tekubhadalwa kwemthela. I'm joined by Marketing and Communications Manager Ndobeko Dlamini. Sikhuluma ngabanti ngetindzaba tekubhadalwa kwemthela. Today's topic sikhuluma withholding tax on non-resident entertainers and sportsmen income sourced from Eswatini. It is mostly directed to locals who usually engage non-resident entertainers and sportsmen such as local agents and promoters. Very good morning, Sama. To be nice once again this Friday. So today's topic sibuka kakhulu kade nje i-tax lebhadalwa ngama entertainers, international entertainers. Zichazela kabanzi nje about today's topic.
Thanks, morning Lulu, and morning to our viewers at home. As sowushido vele Lulu, namhla sibuka indzaba yekuthi yekubanjwa umthelo wema entertainers or ema sportsmen that come and perform or participate in sporting events within the country. Lesifuna nje ukugcizelela ukuthi le payment labayitholako from the local agent or the corporate that has called that particular musician or artist or sportsman, it is imperative ukuthi ibe taxed, and leyo tax ke ibanjwa through what we call e-withholding tax.
Why is it important to go to the tax, and do local organizers and event organizers know ukuthi vele kumele ba deduct such an amount?
Sure. I think To answer the question about the importance, any income that is derived in our country, lakaya, nayo kumele ukuthi ithelise. And if there is a artist or a sports person who is within the country and is receiving a payment within the country, it is important ukuthi nabo bathelise. And this is a mechanism in which we can ensure that that income is taxed. And I think this is a standard practice, it's a global practice, but we did want to take the opportunity just to ensure that anyone who is in the entertainment industry or sporting industry knows that uninfelicity withholding tax and the irresponsibility of not only collecting that tax but remitting it to the ERS lies within that local agency or sporting promoter.
So are they aware, by complying with the Nabalita artists, definitely they do have to remit tax?
No, bayati, they are aware. I think for us, our role as the ERS is to continuously educate all our taxpayers on the various tax types that exist. But we do see compliance coming through that particular avenue, and we just wanted to use this opportunity to promote and ensure that all our clients are aware.
Okay, so how many percent nani remit a certain artist and kumele ukuthi bayikhokhele imali after how many days?
Okay, so withholding tax is 15% of the total or gross amount that is paid to the artist or that is paid towards the prize fund of a sporting event or sporting competition. And as ERS siyakhuthaza ke ukuthi lawo ma local agents, lawo ma promoters nase bambadele artist or that sports person, they then remit that 15% to the ERS within 15 days after the payment has been made.
Okay, so they do that really. They do comply, the event organizers and local event organizers.
Yes, they do. And I think nalo 15 days is after the event has taken place, nasen padelene slethelekele withholding tax within a 15-day period.
Okay.
So yes, we are seeing compliance levels there, but again, any opportunity to continuously promote and educate, we will take.
Okay, so kuba khona in certificate lesitshengisa ukuthi a certain artist has paid the tax Eswatini, mhlambe naye kuyamsida yini makafika event lakhe kutshengisa ukuthi okay, I performed in Eswatini and ngibhadele i-tax.
Yes, correct. So kuba ne certificate lay issue that we as the ERS issue called a withholding tax certificate that we issue to the local agent or promoter. They will then present that certificate to the artist that they are able to use in their country to showcase that they performed at event X or they won a sporting competition and this is the prize money that they won, but they have paid tax within the country like Angwan.
Okay, so have you had any instance lapho nkanza khona ukuthi local event organizer mhlambe so sasikhathi sola kayilethe imali ye-artist mhlambe lethi 15% wale artist, and what is the fine mangabe sola event organizer sola kayilethe imali?
So we do have instances, of course, where that tax has not been remitted to the ERS. We do have within the organization scenario team lebuketa such instances and such cases because when they come to our offices to apply for that certificate, a copy of the contract between yourself and artist, how much money did you agree upon. And they are liswati liba khona vele nangabe ukhanze ukuthi asika as ERS lo mthelo we withholding tax abakaletheli and iba khona vele I penalty and fine yaloko.
Ndokhona bona vele ukuthi they charge this le amount lena vele kungabe ukuthi sokhanze ukuthi mhlambe sebayanyenga ukuthi they charge imali lencane kakhulu. So nasikhuluma nje mhlambe nge level of compliance from organizers ningathini bani bambisa yini vele ngako ku remit le mali?
Cha bayasibambisa. Definitely there are various mechanisms leswasebenzisaku to be able to see what amount was charged between artist and promoter or event organizer. We also have a team within the organization that monitors events that are taking place within the country, sporting events that is taking place within the country. Above and beyond that, the local agents, the local corporates, the local organizers are ERS clients and ERS taxpayers. So we are also able to see during filing season the various events and through the accounting records that have taken place throughout the year. So I think it's very important to emphasize, Kusi, there are a number of ways and mechanisms now, like our ERS, to be able to identify and detect these types of instances.
So bakhona inhlangano abatfola kwanza ukuthi they hosted an event bangabe sebayaletha imali ka-ERS.
Definitely. I think as much as we are here to promote and to promote voluntary compliance, you do get instances lapho vele where we are getting taxpayers that are not compliant. And this is the case across the board. So we do have those instances, and there are departments within our organizations that are primed to be able to handle those various cases.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for a new event organizer, what's important information lekumele bayati kude bakhona ku comply nabo?
Sure. New event organizers sisithine nani plana event nisa khulumisana na artist and seni reach an agreement on event date, event type, costing. Reach out to us. Let us know that I am hosting an event on this date. This is the artist I'm bringing, and this is the amount that we have agreed upon. And then once that event has taken place, complete what is called a withholding tax form, where you will then complete all of these details about the event and obviously what amount was agreed upon, and then make that payment yearly withholding tax.
Okay. Lastly, your contact details.
Sure. Thanks, Lulu. Our clients angakhona kusitfola on our telephone line, which is 2406 4050. We also have a WhatsApp line, 7606 3735. They can email us info@ers.org.sz, and we are on our social media pages on Facebook, LinkedIn, as well as YouTube.
All right, thanks so much, Sibangakula. Thank you for joining us, Mgeli. If you do have more questions or you want more information, ungaxhumana nabo on their social media page as well as on their WhatsApp, nomake ubaxhumane nabo on their email. Let's take a break. Nasibuya sikhulumisana na PRO emaphoyiseni Phindile Philakati.
Lesi sikhathi lapho khona emaphoyisa agubha kuba khona kwawo even. Kulapho kukhuthazwa khona sive ukuthi sike sihlale phansi sibuke bomcoka bemaphoyisa empilweni yabantu. Siphindze sibuke indlela letinsha tekuphepha kubo bonke bucala lobuveta sihloko. Sive sakangwane siyakhunjutwa ukuthi singawafaki emaphoyisa etinkulumeni tepolitiki ngoba liphoyisa alingeni futhi alingenelani nepolitiki. Emaphoyisa alwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco kuphela nje. Ingako emaphoyisa athi wonke umuntu even akahlale ngaphandle kwekunceneka ukuthi angahle ahlaselwe tilwane tasendle. Umuntu lohlala Eswatini akatiphilele atisebentele ngaphandle kwekwesaba kuhlaselwa kwemucwa nekucekelwa phansi kwempahla yakhe. Nawe wena lophathekile, emaphoyisa athi digulele kahle uze uphile ngaphandle kwekuphatamiseka. Lokungenteka ngekuthi tidlova tingene tihlasele labo labakunakekelako kuleyo ndlu. Sive lesihlakaniphile nguleso lesiphakamisa kusebenta kwemaphoyisa nabo bonke labalwa nebucala. Ngale kwaloko timbungushe tiyawuwangenela emazinyane kungenamuntu ekhaya. Nomlayeto niulethelwa ngemaphoyisa embube abambisene nomsakato wetithombe.
Let us all partake as the King sets out the government agenda for the next parliamentary session. Be part of our live broadcast as we ensure that you do not miss out as His Majesty delivers the speech from the throne. His Majesty King Eswatini III will officially open the first session of the 12th Parliament on Friday. Eswatini TV will provide rolling coverage of the state event from 9 a.m.
Nene bekunene kusetandleni tesive kuthi imimango ingagcini kukampunzi edla emini sive sakangwane nebantu labakhethe kuhlala eSwatini abaphile ngekukhululeka nekuthi kubethe lo nyathelo lilungelo lalabanye egameni lekufuna lilungelo lakhe sive asikhumbule ukuthi emaphoyisa bomake nabobabe labatinikele kwenta siqiniseko ukuthi wonke umuntu lwenempahla yakhe ingacekelwa phansi ngulomunye wonke umuntu akahlale ngekuthula nangaphandle kokwesaba tindwe letingatiwa emaphoyisa ngekulandzela nekushiqilela umthetho athi into yemuntu ayibe ngeyakhe umuntu sive asijinge siwabambise siphinde siwasekele emaphoyisa emsebentini wawo kude emalungelo aso sive osomabhizinisi kanye nebantu labasebentako anganyatheleki khona-ke imimango itawukwakha nemakhaya akhulise bantwana ngaso sandla lesiya emlonyeni emaphoyisa naso sive abasebente ngebudlelwane nangekubambisana kulwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco.
Asibize sinemukele sikuvusele nawo losanza kusivulela langa lelikhulukati lamhla kubhekele ukuthi ingonyama iyovula eParliament el12 lomhla ekuseni sitafuna ukukhulumisana naphindile vela kati longumchumanisi wamaphoyisa sive ukuthi ingabe kutahambeka kanjani lo muhla khona lapha ka lomamba ngoba sathi ukuthi bangamaphoyisa batawona siqiniseko sokuthi sive siphepile nekuthi umsebenzi uhamba kahle lomhla ekuseni sabenze sikhulume kabanti ngayo media policy media communication policy lesikunyiswa somthethweni itolo ngumhlonishwa ndvunankulu seve ukuthi ngabe vele ebaleke kanganani ilena policy asekuvusela phiko siyabonga usube nathi lo mhla ekuseni it's a big day namuhla sibhekele ukuthi silo sibe khona lapha endase ekalobamba yovula eParliament ingabe nje kusichazela usekhetha sipromise ukuthi ingabe sive noma ke bashayeli betimoto batawuhamba kanjani elangeni namuhla yini ebhekekile futhi esiveni.
Siyabonga kakhulu tsatsethu sivusele kusosive sakangwane namhla ekuseni. Sibonga kakhulu lokubana leli thuba leli siyathemba ukuthi bonke abantu sebawulungele lo msebenzi siyakhumbula ukuthi kulo msebenzi lona akuyi noma ngakubani kuya labo kuphela labamenyiwe labanemakhadi ekungena silungisileke simaphoyisa so lokusaqala leli viki losikhuluma nawe nyalo sevele amaphoyisa kanexile kutonke etindzawo kwenda siqiniseko sekuthi lo msebenzi angeke uphathamiseke noma ngabe ngayiphi indlela. Mhlambe lesingakusho kwekucala ukuthi indlela ekungena lapha kulo msebenzi lomkhulu itabe iyinye indlela lechamuka ngase police station ngalobamba lokusho sina ngabe nje uhamba ngehighway uyahluka elangeni yati ukuthi utawufika ugegele stadium lapha ngakubomcaphozini uchamukele lapha ke sota uchamukele amaphoyisa ensekatakusita ke ukhonjiswe indlela ekungena kanjalo ke nabo parking nakhona phela siyati ukuthi sonke asingeke sikhona ingena ngekhathi mhlambe siyobhaka kule dodindzawo leti khona bakhona labalungisele ukubhaka esonfeni lesive lelidzala bakhona labalungisele ukubhaka emuseum bayatati ke bona batsheliwe batawuvele batifake khona timoto bese ke sive sonke sitawubhaka khona kasomhlolo stadium la ngaphandle siyathemba ukuthi wonke umuntu ukulungele lokho bese bayangena ke ngalendlela lesishoko leyinye nalochamuka ke ngakubomahlanya asikabheki ukuthi afika ngene kule sekli lencane lengale ngasenkaneni utawufika endlule naye etengala ngase police station kuze thatho khona kungena ngoba kutabe kuhlolwa abantu labangenako umuntu angasikhumbuta nje sive ukuthi emsebenzini njengale akabhekeki phela ukuthi siphathele tindvuku tethu sengisho tibham phela adingeni vele enhlobo mhlambe ke ngekuhamba kwe security uyothola kusetinye tindvu setiyavela khona lapha kumbe tincingo setiyasala siyawulungela konke lokutawushiwo siyacela ukuthi sive sisibambise kakhulu sendeka lo msebenzi siyathembisa ke ukuthi vele izinga lekuphepha litawuba sezingeni lelifanele leso simo siyacela ukuthi sive asiphindze sifike ngesikhathi lesifanele baniketiwe ke tikhathi labo labamenyiwe abasigcine lesikhathi ngoba khona letikhathi khanze ukuthi umuntu so ufika sevele umsebenzi awusavuma uthole ukuthi uyamiswa so tawugongonyeka ke ngaleyo ndlela siyathemba ukuthi batawudiphatha ngendlela lefanele emaswati onke mhlambe ke nalabendlulako siyacela ukuthi bamane basibeketelele bangagongonyeki kakhulu siyathi ukuthi kuba nema road blocks laba khona kekeletele yona indzawo khona ke ihlola yonke nje imoto nale endlulako nalengenako vele itawe ngidlula ngaphasi kwalawo ma road blocks siyacela nakhona ukuthi basibeketelele lo ke mhlambe isidingo vele sekwendlula khona noma lova ngathi utawubambelela sa encourage ukuthi akasebenzele eminye imigwaco ukuze thangathi khanzi asadileka lapho abheke khona siyabonga
lokho nje umsebenzi nje phiko uqala nje nyalo ngensimbi yemfica maphosa savela sakhona imigwaco sevele ivaliwe nyalo nitawuvala ngabanje isikhathi
awu thina vele sesivele sisemsebenzini Ntombeni singene lokwa ngabo 5 vele siyakhumbula ukuthi lemigwaco vele bese icale ukuvala kusukela kubolesithathu chubeka leli viki siyacela ukuthi vele sive sisibeketelele kakhulu ngaleso simo
Okay, so kakhulu phiko ngifuna sikhulume ke nyalo umsebenzi lomcoka nakhona lesukunyiswe ngu-Prime Minister Itolo i-media communication policy sifuna ukuvula ukuthi vele ngabe kuye ngani what is the purpose mhlawumbe ukuthi kube lesidingo sokuthi emaphoyisa asukumise ipolicy yalehlobo
Siyabonga kakhulu Thombeni siyawukhumbula ukuthi singemaphoyisa sitfunyiwe live ukuthi siyosebenza sisebenzele lona live leke kuyafuneka ukuthi sisasebenza sisesibane kubuya kuso sive satisa ngokuthi sisebenza kanjani tikhona ke indlela letinye lesisatisa ngaso sive ukuthi sisebenza kanjani lokufaka khathe ama reports phela ama quarterly reports la yamixwe parliament kepha ke siphindze sibe nalo hlangothi la sisebenzisana khona nemedia cishe on daily basis lapho khona imedia ingiyona ndlela yethu yekufika isiveni so le document ke itelectors guide asimaphoyisa ukuthi sisebenzisana njani ke nemedia kude lokusha Thombeni la ngilendlela bekuvele kusetshenziswana ngayo sekukuthi kwendiwe lelibhuku lengumkhomba ndlela kusita wona emaphoyisa besinawo umthetho noma lokusigayida lokuphuma ku for standing order lekungiyona vele indlela yekusebenta emaphoyisa enisuka khona constitution kube ne police act bese kuba nalama force order ke lekungona sigayida ukuthi siyawusebenza kanjani kepha ke kube netinto letinsha lesetivela njengaloku siyabona ukuthi sekunabo social media manje lenabo uhulumende uba embraceile wathi singabasebenzisa communicator naso sive so sendeleke ukuthi kube nalama guidelines ukuthi sicommunicate kanjani ke nalesive sisebenzisa onke lama platforms la khona lekuyi media lebevele sihamba nayo ne media lensha lesiyibona lekuthiwa ma social media platforms noko ke lokukhuluma lokhu akusho ukuthi mhlambe uhulumende noma emaphoyisa sekagunyade ukuthi atawuphendvula onke emaphephandzaba njengalawo la online kulaba laba online bayawuphendvula on condition sebatendile tonke letincabekelwane tahulumende lekubhekeke ukuthi bahambe kudo baphindze futhi bangene nasemaphoyiseni bavethwe ukuthi vele ema-purposes abo ayini nethi babo bani babuyaphi kulandzelelo konke lokho ngendlela lefanele kungikhani ke banganiketwa imvume yokusebenzisana nemaphoyisa siyayisibe nayo vele inkinga kakhulu ngalama social media platforms lawe tindzaba lothola ukuthi afuna kusikhulumisa simaphoyisa so achazeleke ukuthi thina vele sigayidwa ngumthetho nasikhuluma nanoma ngangibani kwaloko nje ukuthi osicondzisa simaphoyisa ukuthi sibehave kanjani kude lokushinjile kakhulu njengalokhu vele bekubhekekile sa behavior before ukuthi iphoyisa nje alibehave njengemuntu lomunye anyhow kwakho ukubehavior kwehlukile uguided by lokuba liphoyisa kunema ethics lamcoka lekufanele siwalandzele same ngenala ku social media platforms si expected ukuthi vele sibe nalo kutiphatha lokusho ukuthi thina simaphoyisa
khulumeni tindzaba nje teku disseminator information ikakhulu kade nje office leni ukuthi ngibekise nje mhlambe kune suspect mhlambe lenifunako uyakhuluma yini ukuthi nibhala kanjani le information le ningaze mhlambe niphaphule sive semaswati
Siyabonga Thathwethu iyakuthinza kwecala iyasiniketa lokuthi sisebenzisa deputy indlela njengaloku siyade ukuthi sinabo press conference sinabo press statement sinabo press release lekuthi novele letendeka daily phindza futhi sibe guided by lemithetho na ungabuka la khathi kule police ibala imithetho tsite lesigayida ukuthi sisasebenza lokho lokusho ukuthi akafanele ukuthi noma ngase yakwenda lokho bese sibreaker leminye yalemithetho njengaloku ivela la njengabo Data Protection Act bo cyber crime nathi kubhekekile ukuthi singakubreak lokho ezisenda lo msebenzi lokusho ukuthi siyakunaka vele tonke nema human rights konke nje lokukhona ngemuntu siyakunaka nasesifika kule policy noma nasesipublisha any information lengabe iyathinzeka so sichubeka nekusebenza kwethu ngendlela besisebenza ngayo ngaphambilini sekukuthi inyalo vele sekubhaleke phansi in red and white ukuthi this is how we should work.
Chazeni ukuthi mhlambe nangabe nje kunemove mhlambe ufuna kulodge complaint ukuthi ngabe nini bese ni responda kanjani kuleyo move loyo mbekise nje ku social media kunemove nje lodge complaint mhlambe page leno iyakhuluma ngokuthi nimphemvula kanjani noma ngabe angasebenzisa ilanguage lekabi kwani iyakhuluma ngokuthi kumele ukuthi nimkhulumise kanjani.
Siyabonga kakhulu Dzadewethu siyakhumbula ukuthi nama pages lawa vele sesinemalanga siwaqalile and ke siyabona vele i-reaction yesive i-following isetulu kakhulu yakhuphuka njalo ngesikhathi nema responses ke kulokunye siyawanaka siwavulele ukuthi abantu ba-comment kulokunye siwavale ngetizatfu letithile so siphinze sibe guided ke lokuthi how do we deal with those situations nakachamuka sinema moderators nahlala njalo alinzele kubuka ukuthi sive sithini nyalo sikhala ngani then we guide them bese siyabachazela ukuthi if you have a complaint le kanje la kanje these are the steps you take because this one is a quick way to get responses from emaphoyisa so bese siyak-advise ukuthi i-procedure ihamba kanje it's either we call abanye siyasicela ukuthi sisendele inombolo yakho sitokushayela kutoba lula kulokunye ke vele bagcine labanye bavelile labanye bagcine bangaveli ubone ukuthi kunalokuthi ke i-social media kulesinye isikhathi vele is being used for kudlala nje nekuvela ukuthi hayi mina I can say something or maybe make people laugh dinfo njengaleto so siya-understanda sibeketelele and we follow ngalendlela kufanele silandelele ngayo.
Okay, kugcina nje Pico ingabe nibukile ukuthi mhlambe nitawuphinze ni review le policy mhlambe ngibekise emva kweminyaka lesihlanu mangabe sikhona sidingo vele.
Siyabonga ukuthi uyaveta njalo ngemuva ukuthi itawu review njalo after 3 years or rather ke even before that nangabe kukhona sidinga kolesibonakalako so i flexible vele ukuthi nga reviewer anytime iphindze futhi ibe nama consequences ekuhluleka ku comply with this sisebenzisa lemithetho lekhona sisebenzisa ne discipline yasemaphoyiseni we can punish any police officer who goes astray from lokubhalwe phansi.
Okay, sibonga kakhulu Pico mbukele bekunguye phindile vela kade lo yasichazela nje singetha sithomise ukuthi ithini policy yale media communication policy lesokunyiswe idola phinza siniketha sithomise ukuthi vele emaphoyisa asekavela asemgwacweni ayasebenza neqiniseka ukuthi sive siphephile khona lapha endasi kaloba manje babhekekile ukuthi kuvulwe iparliament lomhla ekseni kusukela nga9 asibahlole tema ngethe sitawena tinzabathe singisi.
Let us all partake as the King sets out the government agenda for the next parliamentary session. Be part of our live broadcast as we ensure that you do not miss out as His Majesty delivers the speech from the throne. His Majesty King Eswatini III will officially open the first session of the 12th Parliament on Friday. Eswatini TV will provide rolling coverage of the state event from 9 a.m.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you'll go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience in the kingdom.
Welcome back. This is the news at 7. His Excellency the Prime Minister Russell Dlamini says corruption is one of the top government's priorities as per the request of the nation during the People's Parliament. The Prime Minister says corruption must not even be mentioned amongst police officers.
During the People's Parliament, the people spoke strongly on corruption. His Excellency, the Right Honourable Prime Minister Russell Dlamini says it is one of government's top priorities to fight corruption in the country. As such, it must not be mentioned amongst police officers.
Ayingabi khona le corruption evele. Kodwa ingabi khona nalakini. Ngoba icala lapho le corruption lokunye lokubulala i-motivation national commissioner ukuthi kube nebantu labapromotekayo bangazi ukuthi bapromoteka kanjani. Uyafika nje naso uyacanza nje uyacanza hawu uyasishiya thina labanye. Lokho kusho ukuthi-ke bese sekuthi ungiphocelela ukuthi ngingendisisi ngingadimisele. Siyacela-ke ukuthi ama-promotions national commissioner akabe transparent. Akavele nje aba-transparent, angabi based kakhulu ekutheni watibani. But akabe nje kokuthi wendeni ungendani based on your qualification. Sikhulumile nebaholi bawo umbutho wembukwe ukuthi asithole indlela yokunyusa kwati emaphoyiseni ne-exposure ukuthi cha phela akungapho kuhamba abantu bani uphumela ngelive ngaphandle kwale live nekuyofunza nekuyobona thina. Akwenteke nje ukuthi sathi ukuthi lamhla kuhambe lo kusasa kuhamba la. Ngaphandle kwama responsibilities yathi ukuthi kunetigaba ukuthi la kuleti gaba lethi kuhamba baba. Kepha-ke kukhona la opportunity for growth. Akahambe phela nalamanye ama-officers. Atathi nakafika lapha abese art abenawo exposed.
The Prime Minister then launched the REPS policy, which will inform the public on police activities. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi at the Police Academy in Matsapa.
His Excellency, the Prime Minister Russell Dlamini has encouraged police officers to work with integrity and work for the country and avoid egos. The Prime Minister was speaking at the Police Academy in Matapa on Wednesday during the annual conference for senior police officers.
Right Honourable Prime Minister Russell Dlamini says he believes that police officers must always work with integrity and loyalty at all times, and they must have it in mind that they serve the nation at all times. He says those letting down the police force must be dealt with.
Integrity bekunene kwethembeka. Icala la umsebenzi ukuthi wethembeke nawenda umsebenzi. Nineke nabakithi live lonke liyasibuka ukuthi singemaphoyisa sinayo integrity. Siyayenza excellence sithembekile yini. Kuyadingeka-ke National Commissioner ne-commanding team yakho ngokuthi kwateke nje vele ukuthi ngibani leliphoyisa leli lisitayo. Ngibani leliphoyisa leli angi-attendako mina. Nangikhuluma neliphoyisa nje nale ngi-attenda ngingaze ngiyobuta ukuthi ngibani lolu longisitayo. So that we can easily identify amaphoyisa lasendela phansi.
The acting National Commissioner of Police, Lydia Dlamini, says they are faced with a number of challenges, including shortage of transport, lack of equipment to execute daily duties, and no houses for officers, but they still work hard to ensure then they align themselves with government policies.
Our vision as a service is to extol the virtues of excellence and professionalism, which are one of the guiding ethos of the new government in its quest to deliver service to Eswatini in an efficient manner. Our meeting here today is to discuss how that excellence can be infused in all our operating mechanisms and systems so that we are able to be an organization that truly delivers policies and services in a manner that meets His Majesty's government and the nation's expectations.
The crime rate increased in 2023 compared to 2022. The Prime Minister promised that new vehicles will be bought for the police force and asked that they be taken care of. He also promised that houses for officers will be renovated and constructed. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi at the Police Academy in Matsapa.
The Prime Minister, His Excellency Russell Dlamini, has encouraged state-owned enterprises to align their strategies with Sibaya submissions, which include service delivery, support for business startup, for youth and job creation. The Prime Minister was addressing chairpersons and chief executive officers of state-owned enterprises at ERS headquarters in Ezuluni.
The government of the Kingdom of Eswatini has 48 state-owned enterprises that have got CEOs and boards. Today, the Prime Minister, His Excellency Russell Dlamini, met with the chairpersons and the CEOs of these state enterprises. Speaking on behalf of the state-owned enterprises CEOs, Dumsane Msibi encouraged government to reform their legislations since some of their policies are outdated.
We remain at the full disposal of government to diligently discharge our respective roles in the socio-economic development of the country.
Muzi Dlamini, who was representing the chairpersons of the different boards, assured the Prime Minister that they are aware of their responsibility and mandate.
Central to the responsibility upon the public enterprises largely is the delivery of much needed services to the larger populace of our country.
The Prime Minister says government is facing fiscal challenges and the SOEs should ensure that they are sustainable. The Premier says government will lead economic development through the state-owned entities.
Every time my colleagues like you leave the office, I tend to wonder how we think that we can continuously ask government to subvent entities that should actually be making profit. That government should continuously subvent even if we don't deliver anything. And we are even bold to come late and to ask for more salaries. So this indicates that we need some introspection. We need to reflect more. I noticed that we have created a serious problem of inequality. Executives are paid exorbitantly. They are paid exorbitant salaries, while junior staff are paid very little. With every measure and every increment that is allocated, the gap, the inequality increases.
Some of the CEOs who made interventions during the meeting put it explicitly clear that despite all SOEs being owned by government, but collaboration is so difficult. In August last year, the World Bank, when delivering the Eswatini economic update, made recommendations to government. One was for government to review the legal framework of the SOEs and also to strengthen their oversight and governance. For Eswatini TV News, I am Lincoln Kule, Ezulwini.
The Honorable Minister of Information, Communications and Technology, Savannah Mazia, says digitization of the country's broadcasting system is key to the development of the country. The minister was speaking during a tour of the Eswatini Broadcasting and Information Services.
The Honorable Minister of Information, Communications and Technology, Savannah Mazia, told the Eswatini Broadcasting and Information Services, EBIS, where EBIS Senior Engineer Siboniso Vilagati briefed the Honorable Minister about the newly established advanced studios.
Inside the studio, in the past, it was hard to monitor what is happening off air, Emakai. But now we can monitor it here. When she's here, she can see what's happening kule transmitter lesemakhaya.
The Honorable Minister, when meeting the EBI staff, said digitization of broadcasting is a very important component of advanced technology.
Part of the strategy of ICT is to digitize and get government to be fully digitized. Now, you play an important role in that. You are already highly digitized. And when I look at your studios, they're so wonderful. But how do we educate the nation when the government has become digitized, or as we become a digital nation? You are so critical in that journey to be able to inform those in the rural areas, the youth, commerce, and every stakeholder on how we're going to work as government going forward. If as ICT, our strategy is actually adopted, we really are going to change how government works so that government comes closer to the people as opposed to the people going to government. And so this is going to be a game changer if we're all able to work together.
The Honorable Minister also said the use of technology is not only mandated to the government, but every Eswati and development partners. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suekoza, Babane.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Mandla Chauka, says agriculture is critical in addressing food security. He was speaking during a handover ceremony of a fruit tree production project from the government of the Republic of China and Taiwan.
Managing food tree production, market, and capacity building project has established value chain for banana, papaya, pitaya, and guava. Taiwan Ambassador to Eswatini Jeremy Liang presented the project to the Minister of Agriculture.
A revolving fund of 3 million Marangeni from the sales of fruit seedlings and fruits, assets and equipment worth 4.3 million Marangeni, including 3 vehicles, tissue culture lab equipment, and net houses, to the Ministry of Agriculture. In addition, there are currently 100,000 banana seedlings in the net room, which are worth about 1.5 million Emanangeni, with a total value of 8.8 million Emanangeni. We are transferring all equipment and funds to the Ministry of Agriculture.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Mandla Chauka, accepted the project on behalf of the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini.
The mandate of the current government is clear, as given by Emakosi and the people at the recent SBAI. This mandate is to make sure that we stop hunger and poverty in the shortest time possible. Ngesiswati sithi asithi ngwe siqedze busweti nendlala eveni ngwenyama. Agriculture, as the ambassador is also alluded, is at the center of this mandate, and it forms a significant sector of the economy. In any case, a country that can't feed itself risks losing its sovereignty. It is imperative, therefore, that we develop and implement pragmatic strategies that will move the sector forward. The ministry is completing and intends to implement with vigor and follow through a strategic plan that will take the sector on an upward trajectory. This plan will feed into the government's grand plan, which will be the ultimate product of SBAI as commanded by His Majesty.
The Honorable Minister also launched the third phase of the project, which will run for 3 years. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suekoza, Malkens.
The Minister of Education, Honorable Owen Nxumalo, has announced the Board of Directors for the Exams Council of Eswatini. The board will be chaired by Dr. Sipho Shongwe.
Minister of Education, Honorable Owen Nxumalo, has announced the new Board of Directors for the Exams Council of Eswatini. The council will ensure on the smooth working and operations of the Exams Council of Eswatini.
Chairman wethu utaba Dr. SS Shongwe yena ke chairman utaba khona bese ke kuba na director waka education akekho la naye utawungena kule board bese ke kule board itaphinde kube na PS waka finance bese kuphinde futhi sithola ne-representative yaka-AG bese ke sithola ke loqhamuka ka-high education babe Dlamini nangaceni kwami naloqhamuka ke high school ngibabe Mhlanga nanuya bese ke sithola ke na head teacher loqhamuka ke primary kube ke ngibabe Nkutha kuda bese ke kuba na director loqhamuka NCC babe Hlophe phelela lapho ke le body bese ke kuba na CEO.
The board of directors are expected to be in office for a period not exceeding 3 years. Reporting, I am Kiani Msibi, Mbabane.
The Honourable Minister of Information, Communications and Technology, Savannah Mazia, says the media has an important role to play in changing the image of the country. The minister was speaking during a tour of the Eswatini Observer.
Minister of Information, Communications and Technology, Savannah Mazia, met the staff, management and staff of the Eswatini Observer during a tour where Eswatini Observer Managing Director Allen Mkonda highlighted some of the challenges faced by the newspaper.
As you meet this hardworking team here, Labasabenda with very scant resources. They are a dedicated team. You find them in the environment where they work every day. The nerve center, the newsroom. Every day, bafuna things are going for it. Every day, bafuna markets go out for it, and that's where we make the money. So as they do their work, maybe we corner, maybe start bambisana corner, and perhaps as we get advertising revenue from the government system, kube corner nanati less follow kube enough.
The Honourable Minister said media has a role to play in ensuring global recognition of the country.
Cannot change or upgrade or improve the image of the country without your participation. So you are a partner in crime in this situation. You're a partner in our development. You're a partner in our growth. Now, as a government, I would have loved for you to also be our partner in advising us about our image. There's also, from your perspective, a requirement to globalize us. I think we may run the risk of being too insular and too inward-looking. And that's not a good place to be. It's like living in a bubble. There's a whole world out there that's not frightening, that we can actually be a part of and still maintain Eswatini Betu and still maintain our specialness, but also bring it in so that we can be this first world. We're not going to be this first world when we're just insular and not working with global partners.
The Eswatini Observer staff asked the Honourable Minister to look into the access of public documents and legislative frameworks that affect free reporting of local journalists. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samkalsiwe Koza, Babane.
The Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Honourable Jane Simelane, accompanied by her delegation, took the initiative to tour the Ngwenya Eswatini iron ore mine situated around Maloloja. The essence of the visit is to revive the place into its original state.
This place was first mined and discovered by the British in 1888 to 1977 during the gold rush era, where different minerals were being mined. This place is one of the oldest mines in the world. Even the Khoisan used to scavenge these lands. In 2018, the place burnt into ashes due to a fault in electric wires. Hence, the Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Jane Simelane, took the initiative of touring the place to try and find ways of reviving it.
Injongo yethu silitiko ngiloko ukuthi lenzawo lena singayilungisa kanjani ukuthi siyimarket into khona ukuthi ikhangete ivakashi iphindze futhi sonke imvelo nekokuthi siphindze siyithuthukise nemvelo. Lenzawo lena umlandvo wayo uthi imine lenzala umhlaba wonke jikelele inzala umhlaba wonke yona mine lenzala le Shuthi inemlando lomudze. Ngako kumcoka kokugcina lo mlando.
Duduzi Mamba, who is the environmental officer, says if the place can be taken good care of, it can benefit the tourism sector and the nation at large.
Lendzawo cishe yonke le lomgubudla lo kuyawushona ebulembu kuna indlela nje letiqhamuka ngale labathi tekubuya yona lemicebo yaphansi lekhona kulomgubudla lo kushona kubo Barberton. Sebawendile ke ndala sifane sowuselenga la ngakithi lokuthi sihambe sikhomba lokuthi la bekunamcebo muni la kunemcebo muni ngoba minengi lemicebo yala.
The minister concluded by mentioning that investors are already in place to help revive the place. It is only a matter of time. Reporting for Eswatini TV, Poguhle Dlamini in Gwenya.
In international news, Earth has enjoyed 12 months of temperatures 1.5 degrees Celsius hotter than the pre-industrial era for the first time on record, Europe's climate monitor said on Thursday.
It was the figure set as a limit, 1.5 degrees Celsius. When world leaders met in 2015 in Paris, they vowed to do everything they could so the average global temperature did not go 1.5 degrees over pre-industrial temperatures and settle on that high level. But in the past 12 months, they did just that. This, for example, was what January looked like in Spain.
It's the rate of increase, which you should emphasize. This is unprecedented. The rate of change with time has never occurred except for, very small times when the asteroid hit the Earth.
Scientists believe that once temperatures hit this threshold and stay at that level, uncontrollable weather events become more common. Deadly heat, droughts, and also rising sea levels, storms, and flooding. Once temperatures go 1.5 degrees over pre-industrial levels, the consequences can be irreversible. But scientists say it's not too late. Significant change occurs when this global heat lasts several decades. The only way to prevent this is to cut down greenhouse gas emissions.
There has grown among the more than 1 million Palestinians now crowded around the city of Rafah on the Egyptian border as the battlefront in the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza has crept ever closer. Via discretion is advised.
Panic in a tent camp in the city of Rafah. An Israeli strike hit a vehicle only meters away.
We were entertaining the children. Then rockets fell at the entrance of the camp. The shrapnel was propelled towards the children and us as well.
The Israeli army has multiplied attacks in southern Gazan towns and camps. Palestinian and Israeli officials said that a senior Palestinian police officer and Hamas member was killed when his car was struck. At least 3 other people were killed in a house.
We were at home when it happened. We were hit with a missile. There were children there and a cancer patient. We were helping him in his home.
In local hospitals, families mourn loved ones, and everyone fears an even worse situation ahead after the Israeli Prime Minister confirmed that soldiers were told to prepare to fight in Rafah. The U.S. has urged Israel to do everything possible to ensure that civilians are protected. The UN warned against such an escalation.
Such an action would exponentially increase what is already a humanitarian nightmare with untold regional consequences. It's time for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire and the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages.
Expanding the ground offensive to Rafah is worrying because the area is extremely densely populated. Some 1 million people live or have found refuge there. It's also concerning because Rafah is the border crossing through which humanitarian aid is brought into the Gaza Strip. If it's attacked, all Gazans will see their living conditions deteriorate further.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Wednesday said there was still hope for some kind of agreement to be reached between Israel and Hamas, despite Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's rejection of the Palestinian militant group's offer of a three-phase deal to end the war in Gaza.
There were high hopes for this meeting. US diplomacy chief Antony Blinken held talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, an attempt to move negotiations forward on a ceasefire in Gaza. But Netanyahu has firmly rejected Hamas's latest offer, renewing his pledge to destroy the group.
An absolute victory is the only thing that will bring us security. And getting rid of Hamas will mean we can build good relations with the region. Today I told US Secretary of State Antony Blinken that a victory was within reach, not just here, but in the rest of the world too.
On Tuesday, Hamas had put forward a counteroffer to a ceasefire proposal backed by Israel and the US and mediated by Qatar and Egypt. It consisted of a three-phase ceasefire involving the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza in exchange for Israeli hostages. But after hearing Netanyahu's response, a senior Hamas official has called on all Palestinian factions to press on with the confrontations. Blinken, for his part, has made it clear more discussions were needed. Another round of negotiations, including Hamas, is expected to take place on Thursday in Cairo.
What I can tell you about these discussions is that while there are some clear non-starters in Hamas's response, we do think it creates space for agreement to be reached. And we will work at that relentlessly until we get there.
Blinken's objective is to get parties to at least agree to a humanitarian pause in the fighting, with pressure mounting on the US as Israel's offensive in Gaza enters its fifth month.
The biggest military shake-up since Russia's invasion, the new face of Ukraine's forces is Onestas Skyski. The move replaces former top commander Valery Zaluzhny, who led the troops since the start of the war.
He was the commander of the Ukrainian ground forces, now in the top job of military commander-in-chief. In the biggest military shake-up since Russia's invasion, the new face of Ukraine's armed forces is Alexander Syrsky, the 58-year-old known as the mastermind behind Kyiv's surprise and successful counteroffensive in the autumn of 2022. The move replaces former top commander Valery Zaluzhny, who'd led the troops since the start of the war. And the Ukrainian president has explained his reasons for the shuffle, saying it was based on pushing for a different approach to military strategy after analysing 2 years of war.
It's not about surnames, and even less so, not about politics. This is about the system of our army, about management in the armed forces of Ukraine, and about exposing commanders of this war to combat experience. Every soldier, every sergeant, and every officer who sees the front understands what decisions are needed. I'm grateful to General Valery Zaluzhny for 2 years of protection and for every victory we achieved together.
Dubbed the Iron General, former Chief Zaluzhny came to be a symbol of Ukrainian resistance during nearly 2 years of war and was immensely popular and respected amongst the troops and the public. However, the failure of last year's much talked about Ukrainian counteroffensive and rumours of a public disagreement with Zelensky caused strained relations. According to the president, Zaluzhny has been offered a position to remain a part of the team.
The U.S. Supreme Court reluctantly takes center stage in the 2024 White House race on Thursday as it decides whether Donald Trump should be barred from running again for president.
Hopeful spectators camp outside the Supreme Court for a chance to sit in on one of the U.S.'s biggest presidential election cases. The nation's highest court is set to decide on whether the state of Colorado is right to bar former President Donald Trump from the 2024 ballot.
This is a landmark decision, and I want to be in the room where it happens, to quote Hamilton.
The fate of Trump's bid to return to the White House now hangs in the balance as justices gear up to hear arguments Thursday in an appeal made by Trump against Colorado's decision to keep him out of the presidential primary ballot. This for his role in the January 6th riot. Colorado's Supreme Court says he's ineligible under the 14th Amendment, which prevents those who engage in insurrection from holding office. Trump's lawyers say that part of the Constitution was not meant to apply to the president, but instead that it concerns so-called officers of the United States.
Trump is making this very technical argument that the president is not an officer of the United States, and therefore Trump could not be subject to disqualification. It's an argument that really would apply only to Trump, because it applies to someone if they were a senator or a district attorney or had other jobs. And every president from after George Washington on until Trump had one of those other jobs.
Experts say Colorado's ruling is unlikely to be upheld in the Supreme Court, where 3 of the 9 justices were nominated by Trump when he was in office. A decision in Colorado's favor could tempt other states to bar him from the ballot as well, further complicating Trump's path to the White House that has already been dogged by several legal battles.
Polling stations for Pakistan's election closed at 5 p.m. local time on Thursday after a day that saw mobile phone networks switched off across the country and security incidents that left at least 7 people dead.
Outside the polling stations in the capital of Islamabad and in cities across the country, long queues form as voters cast their ballot in the parliamentary election. The country has 44 political parties competing for a share of the 266 seats in the National Assembly and many issues to tackle, including political instability, security concerns and an economic crisis.
It's our right and duty to vote. There are a few miscreants we shouldn't be afraid of. If we are afraid and don't go to vote, they will be even more confident.
I came to vote so a good government will come. We are looking for a good economy and for a good image of Pakistan abroad and for the good future of our children.
Among the campaign posters, 3 main parties dominate Pakistani politics: the Pakistan Muslim League, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, and the Pakistan People's Party. But today's polls are held without former Prime Minister Imran Khan, ousted in a no-confidence vote in 2022 and imprisoned after several trials. He's unable to run and his party is banned from campaigning. Khan's absence could play in the favour of the PML leader Nawaz Sharif. The former 3-term Prime Minister is returning from forced exile after court convictions. But observers say his party is unlikely to win an absolute majority. The youth votes are expected to play a key role in the election, with almost half of the 128 million registered voters being under 35. Security has also been ramped up following 2 deadly bomb attacks in the province of Balochistan on the eve of voting. Over 600,000 police and soldiers have been deployed, mobile services suspended, and borders temporarily closed as militant violence has increased around election time.
Azerbaijan's President Ilham Aliyev won his 5th consecutive presidential term on Wednesday, the country's election chief said, in a contest that one opposition leader called an imitation of democracy.
With the majority of the votes counted, supporters of Azeri President Ilham Aliyev celebrate his victory. On Wednesday, citizens of Azerbaijan took to the polls to choose their next president. According to preliminary results released by the Central Election Commission, Aliyev is on course for a landslide re-election win.
I made my choice. I know that we're a victorious country, led by President Ilham Aliyev. I voted for him.
Everyone participated in the election. We saw it as we came in. I myself came to participate in the election with great pleasure.
In January, the president called for a snap election following his 2023 campaign to retake the separatist region of Nagorno-Karabakh, which saw almost all of its 120,000 ethnic Armenian residents flee, and Azerbaijan reassert its control over the territory. Azeri officials say the electoral process is fair and transparent, a claim that human rights groups have denounced. In this vote, Aliyev faced 6 rivals, none of them critical of his rule, while the 2 main opposition parties boycotted the poll. The presidential election also comes following a government crackdown on dissent, which saw several independent journalists arrested and charged with various crimes since November last year. International press freedom groups have described the arrests as an attempt to silence anti-corruption reporting.
In our sports news, national rugby team Kusile has not moved in the world rankings. The team is still ranked 102 out of 112 nations in the world. South Africa's Springbok has regained top position after winning the 2023 Rugby World Cup in France. Eswatini women football is appealing to support women football since teams are struggling to honor their league matches due to financial constraints. We've come to the end of our bulletin. Thank you for joining us. Let's take a break. Siyabuya khona manje.
Let us all partake as the King sets out the government agenda for the next parliamentary session. Be part of our live broadcast as we ensure that you do not miss out as His Majesty delivers the speech from the throne. His Majesty King Eswatini III will officially open the first session of the 12th Parliament on Friday. Eswatini TV will provide rolling coverage of the state event from 9 a.m.
Sinamukela ehlelweni lesikhashana ke sibuka dede emidlalo sinentshathelo yemsakato yadode emidlalo Fabrice Msonera losasijoinile ke lapha e-studio indzaba lenkulu Fabrice ngisakwamukela ehlelweni indzaba yeNgwenyama Cup. It is back this weekend. Yeah, I'm looking at the draw here. Tomorrow, Mayaluga Stadium. Very, very interesting games. I think the opening match for me is the biggest game of the weekend. And in my past opinion, Green Mamba versus Singizini, 1:30 p.m. How much should we look forward to this game? I think it's a defining game for the whole tournament because one of these teams could make it all the way to the finals.
Yeah, it's a very good morning, Sfiso, to you and to the viewers. On paper, if you want to say what is realistic, you have to look at the record. Green Mamba, they're defending champions. You have to look at maybe in terms of one-on-one, in terms of players, they stand a chance. But if you look at the current form, where Green Mamba is, I think they haven't won a league game in more than 3 games, 3 to 4 games. So you also look at the performance of Singizini. They are quite, hyped up.
Especially in tournaments.
Knockout tournaments. And I think on Monday, the club's president, Mr. Derek Shiba, was here and saying, if they win the Ngwenyama Cup this year and they finish within the top 3, they have to go to Africa. So you can tell it's one of the aim of this season. They have to try and win this tournament. And they have got a fan base, and I have no doubt that they will pack Mayaluga Stadium. They have got buses coming from all the parts of Shiselweni. So come tomorrow at Mairoga Stadium.
Bit of
we'll
a concern of Fabrice, them playing away from Shiselweni. I think they've had what a lot of fans have been calling unfair advantage.
Because it's more like home.
We may want to anticipate Kutsi that could affect their gameplay, but we don't know. They are still a good-looking team, and Green Mamba has not really been performing, just like you've said, for the past 3 to 4 games. So it looks to be a really, really interesting game. Second game, Young Buffaloes versus Madlenya, 3:45 p.m., same stadium, Mayaluga. Are we expecting Young Buffaloes to come out with a win here, as many fans are expecting, or Madlenya could pull an upset?
More than anything, you expect Buffaloes to do the harm. And I think Madlenya started well this season, and at some point you would think maybe they have got what it takes. Yes, one would say they defeated Mancini Wanderers in the last 16, but then you have to look at how so where they're standing. Like, normally what they say, form is temporary, class is permanent. So coming to this game, really, Buffaloes is one team, and it's just that people are not monitoring. They grow as the tournament also grows. So even in the league, even in the Ngonyama Cup, I'm still giving them one of the teams that stand a chance. So coming to this game, they won't have face a tough time. I saw Madlenya against Bamane Swallows when they were defeated 4-0, especially in the second half. They seem to lose focus. There are players who are from Madlenya, went to Young Buffaloes, especially their former captain, Lucky Kametse, left Madlenya, went to Young Buffaloes, and he was a very key person. And you have to think also that could play in their advantage. But I like the fact that they're a team, they play as a team, they defend as a team, they attack as a team. But on paper and looking at the current form, Buffalo stand a chance. So in these 2 games, previous 2 games, Buffalo stood a chance as well.
Stands a higher chance. Mavuso Sunday, Mavuso Sports Center, 1:30, Fabrice. Bamane Swallows, currently plagued by injuries. But you don't want to lose hope as a Mbabane Swallows fan, especially looking at the fact that they're playing Peaks Peak Rangers. You do want to, come into this game with a bit of hope. Tournament. How realistic is that? And, should Rangers have big ambitions coming into this game? Swallows has been known to be a renowned team historically, but it's a knockout tournament. You can expect anything.
So this is the biggest game actually for Mbabane Swallows. This is one of the biggest games in the other teams. This is the only team that is not from the Premier League, Peaks Rangers. So you understand that they have got nothing to lose. For them being at this stage, it's an achievement that they have achieved that. So going to the game on Sunday, they are saying, you know what, it's a lose. We can do anything, but take anything away from Mbabane Swallows because they are the record holder of the Ngonyama Cup, winning it 3 times in a row. We look at Peaks Peak Rangers coming to the game. They want to show people that maybe Premier League is not that far from National First Division. So coming to this game, really, it's a tricky one. Swallows should avoid to take this game into penalty because if they get there, then it's too much for them. But let's give them a chance. They have challenges. Felix still with that injury, they've got such few missing players. We woke up on some headlines that they also suspended one of their goalkeepers. But let's hope because there is that mentality saying that we've been there, we've played this stage. Some of the key players like Bo Mabila, I think he's one of the player who's been playing for quite some time, so they have got experience. So coming to this game, Bo Kingsley, the midfield, the defense. You have also to talk about Abo Ayanda, some of the players that have showed better performance in the previous games. So let's hope, Gwake also back at his best. Let's hope that maybe he could be playing, even though he's been linked with the team in Mozambique. So coming to this game, so I'm really worried for Mbabane Swallows, but let's give them a chance. They stand a chance because Peaks Peak Rangers can harm them. But
like the second game,
they have nothing to lose. But the second game, we're from watching them in the MTN Premier League. Highlanders won the game by 1 goal. But you have to look at also, this is a different competition. I was listening to the coach, Mpumelelo Ngwenya of Eswatini United, saying, you know what, we're trying to create a brand. we're trying to work a team.
Yes.
So we can't avoid, we can't actually afford to get 2 defeats in a row. So, and if you look at how they defeated them in the league last weekend, just small margins. So anything is possible as well.
And I may be lucky there, Fabrice, because you do want to appreciate, in favor of Eswatini United, of course, some of these players, and of course, Mbabane Highlanders being one of the victims there, being nabbed by the infamous yellow card rule, the Article 6.2a lo ivetago would see. Mbabane Highlanders has suffered it. I believe Eswatini United and Young Buffaloes, some of their players, at least one player, respectively, from these teams, will not be playing this weekend.
And sorry to cut you, so look at something interesting. When you look at the league table, Royal Leopard is number 1. Then you've got Mbabane Swallows number 2. Look at the teams that are remaining on the left side of the screen. Mbabane Swallows are number 2. Young Buffaloes are number 3. Green Mamba are number 4. And then you've got Mbabane Highlanders number 6 because Matlenya is number 6. So then you have to ask yourself, can we see a surprise this coming weekend? I was talking to my colleague here last night, Linda, and saying, you know what, we might see another big gun, being knocked out. Yeah. But if I'm looking at just the picture...
If you could make a prediction then, Fabrice, one of these big guns, as you mentioned,
the 2 teams Saturday will proceed. The 2 teams. But for Sunday, one of them is out. I don't know which one.
Certainly not Mbabane Highlanders.
I don't know when I mention him. But one of them.
Konze is not going home, I'll tell you that much.
He's not going home.
He's not going home.
Then you've confirmed that you're a Mbabane Highlanders supporter.
I like that side quite a lot. Yeah. There's Banele, there's Musa, who should be leaving very soon.
Yeah, Musa Lamini, yes.
Yeah, and then that young defender, what's his name, number 2, what's his name again?
You're talking about Vusi.
Vusi, impressive player. I like that side quite a lot.
I think they've got good players, but also the midfield.
And they're playing as Eswatini United.
Mpenduro form. So these are some of the players. Yeah, but let's see how it goes this coming weekend.
Yeah, and as you're talking about seeing how it goes, let's look at the Africa Cup of Nations. A lot has been unfolding, and since lifting their first and only AFCON title in 1996, in Africa, Bafana have been on a downward spiral that saw them lose their title contender title over the years. South Africa and the Democratic Republic of Congo will be looking at bowing out in style of the CAF Africa Cup of Nations Cote d'Ivoire 2023. Here are the fixtures, here are the results. Solo Kubega, both sides, of course, were knocked out of the title race during the semi-finals, where Bafana were edged 4-2 more penalties. Quite sad for South Africa, even for us in the south side of the African region.
The southern hemisphere.
But also, the 1-1 draw with Nigeria, very, very interesting. But DR Congo losing by a slim margin against host Cote d'Ivoire, Fabrice. Now Alama results, and they look to bow out in style. I'll call it losers finals.
I told you during the quarterfinal, semi-final, watch Ivory Coast. Because the way they are climbing, they started very, very bad during the group stages. And remember, they were in the same group with Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea. They're in the same group.
But here's the spectacle, man, Fabrice. South Africa, just quickly, briefly, too, looking at the time. South Africa was hoping, a lot of people, because I wasn't following this game, unfortunately, I had to sleep. What's not 90 minutes? They were with my penalty.
That's for
people celebrated.
They celebrated, but because we talked about because South Africa, we saw what they did against Cape Verde, and we were hoping that Williams would do what he did. But funny enough, the Nigerian goalkeeper, he plays for Chippa United. That's another thing that maybe people were thinking that you know what, he should have maybe been a player that Sundowns players, majority of those Sundowns players, of course, in the South African side, they should have known that that's a goalkeeper. But you know what? To me, it's still not a failure. Because they are where they are. When they went to the tournament, Bafana. I think Hugo Broos should be given a credit. They should extend his contract if there's a chance. There's the World Cup qualifiers coming. He's put this team together. And I think after this AFCON, South African team, players, especially maybe Williams, I'm not sure if the contract allows, but some of these players, I'm looking at the number 4, Mokowena. These are some of the players that will attract international teams. It might not be Europe, but it might be the North African teams, your Egypt, your Algeria, and Tunisia. There are players that really bore evidence. I think we saw something that is different. And then I was telling you that the lesson that Cape Verde and South Africa showed us is 2 lessons. There's a lesson of good administration. That's Cape Verde.
Yeah.
They have a good FA that tried everything. And there's also a lesson that, let's forget about this thing to say when you have only international players who can perform. South Africa had 9 players who are local, 9, but they reached it that far. So let's forget about that. We can have 9 Swallows players, 9 Young Buffaloes players, 9 Green Mamba players within the team. As long as they are exposed to CAF competition, we can still perform. It's the togetherness.
Yeah.
So I think the players have matured. So let's keep this team together and see what they can do for the qualifiers in the World Cup. They have a vision, and Hugo Broos is doing something. Let's just give him time. They can finish number 3 against DRC because they have to play for the bronze medal.
They're playing for the bronze medal anyway.
So it's still an achievement. So, so for me, I don't think if Hugo Broos, you ask him honestly, would you think you would reach the semi-final? He was going to tell you no. Our aim was to just past the knockout stage.
Yeah, no. None of us were expecting South Africa to make it that far,
Yeah,
to be honest. Yeah, they certainly lost that game, but they won many hearts,
Ivory Coast,
including our hearts as well.
Ivory Coast, home.
That's what we anticipate now, Fabrice, a big titanic clash of the African football continent between Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire. That contest is going to be a really, really big one. What do you anticipate in that game? What is your final prediction for the final?
I think with the home crowd, with the we might see another penalty shootout. But if we get to the penalty shootout, it's anyone can. I think Ivory Coast can still take it, Nigeria. But with what I've seen so far, on paper, we like using that, like we also talked about form. Let's keep it to Nigeria because I believe in a lot of odds because in 1996, when South Africa had won it, somewhere along the lines, they had played Nigeria. In 2013, when South Africa hosted the tournament, Nigeria won it. So there is that belief that somehow in Nigeria, they have a connection with South Africa, they end up taking the trophy. But let's hope. I think I've been impressed with their team. I like their captain, Ekongo, the number 5. He plays for POK in Greece, and I think he's attracting also teams in England. I've heard that Nottingham Forest and Tottenham are looking for him, their captain. There's Lookman from Atalanta. He used to play for Leicester City. He could be back in England. So this is what we want. We want the Africa Cup of Nations, once it finishes, to attract the players. DRC, the same thing. I was impressed with some of their players. The goalkeeper, he plays for a club in Egypt. He's attracting clubs in France. There is Wissa from Brentford. So this is what we want. But coming to the game, Nigeria still stand a chance to take the trophy for the first time since 2013. Then for number 3, I'm tipping Bafana to finish 3rd.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I think for the first time, Milana now.
Yeah, for the first time. And by the way, they are now 47. Okay, before they played the semi-final, they were 47 million rands richer for just reaching the quarterfinal. So if they were going to make it to the semi-final, they're going to be 76 million
richer. That's just
Bafana. That's Bafana. So for them to reach the quarterfinals, just 47 million rich. Let's see how they do with the 3rd place. You know, it could be another story.
That's big indeed. Fabrice, we open match day 24 of 38 of the English Premier League. Yeah, this weekend. And, you know, obviously we're opening it with Manchester City against Everton, which is going to be a very, very interesting game because
at this point in time, there's no stopping Manchester City. At this point in time,
and they have a match in hand.
They have a match in hand. They won on Thursday, yes.
Yeah.
So now they're number 2. Arsenal has dropped back to number 3.
And they're playing Everton.
They are playing Everton.
8th position.
They have game in hand.
Oh my goodness.
You know,
Scary
Haaland is back. Haaland is back. De Bruyne is back. There's no stopping back.
Yeah.
Look where they are.
I mean, Liverpool's also, you know, quite up there still, and they're playing Burnley this weekend. You do want to appreciate that, you know, Burnley is number 19 in the log standings. Man City is playing Everton. Everton is down there, number 18. So quite easy games, so to speak, on paper for Liverpool and Man City this weekend. They all do want to make the most out of these games, especially Liverpool, because, you know, Man City still has a game in hand. They do want to capitalize on this game.
It's a tricky one, so to cut, it's a tricky one because it's the English Premiership. We can talk about this, and then when you get back on Monday, the results have changed. History has told us that Everton, they always score against Manchester City, so it could be a tricky one. But I have confidence that when the season when it hits February, they can't afford to make mistakes. City, they know they have to play Arsenal home. They know they have to play Liverpool home. So I know there's Champions League coming. Liverpool maybe are saying that we are only in the Europa League. But tell you what, that number 2 team, I'm very much worried because what they can do at this point in time, they can go on and win the remaining 15 games of the season. So
I'll tell you who I'm worried about.
That's how I'm worried, and this is the team I'm worried about.
I'm worried about Arsenal. Arsenal is playing West Ham, and that's on Sunday at 4 p.m. February 11. And West Ham has not been performing badly, for being honest. You know,
the story changes when you play a team from the same city. The story changes, and I think we saw it the last season of the first round. You know, there were quite some surprises. So I know they're within the reach to fight for the title, and they will fight until the last minute. That's Arsenal. That's also Liverpool will do the same. But that team number 2, they know. The good thing is Arsenal's performance against Big Five this season was very good.
Yeah.
So if you look
you have confidence in the Arsenal side against West Ham, you know, looking into Sunday, just based on how they've been performing.
Yeah, I'm quite confident.
But not so confident about City because of the team that they are playing against.
Everton, Let's say both teams will win. Let's say both teams will
Liverpool?
win. Yeah, Liverpool also, they will win. All the 3 teams will win.
Right.
The trick part will start when the Champions League starts next week, because then after that we're back to Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday. Then that's when fatigue comes in. The excuses starts. Me, I have a small squad. The other one has a bigger squad. But who said you shouldn't buy? Because City will tell you that if they are seated right now, they have got a bench where you still have players like Grealish who haven't played. You still have players who are on the bench who are from injuries. You go to Arsenal, there's also challenges of players in terms of injuries, but hopefully Jesus is back. Liverpool, they have forgotten for Salah for quite some time now, and they have to still forget about him after that injury in the AFCON. So anything can happen. Anything can change. Indeed. But I'm tipping the 3 teams to get 3 points over the weekend.
That's a fair assessment. I'll agree with you with this one. Today I'm agreeing with you in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Match day 24, again, La Liga. The biggest game of the weekend for me, Girona versus Real Madrid. And if you look at the log standings for La Liga,
it's big.
You'll be shocked if you've not been really following with a keen eye to see that Real Madrid is back, on top after Girona has been there for quite some time. But Real Madrid has been, chasing that. But what a game it's going to be for us.
And then I think slowly Barcelona, they're just stepping out of Girona actually they're looking, so they want to fight until the last minute. But tricky one, coming to this game, you don't have Jude Bellingham. For Madrid, it's a tricky one. He was suspended. I think it's going to be for 10 games after using that violent language against a player in the game they just played recently. So missing him in that midfield will be very key. But I've got no doubt the experience, the exposure of a coach like Carlo Ancelotti, he has to maneuver within the squad. But Girona, what they have done so far, it is quite impressive. But you have also to look at other games, Sevilla, Atletico Madrid. It's a very good, it's a good, especially that Sevilla just outside Madrid, so the 2 cities are quite close. So one of the follow teams actually in Spain after Barcelona and Real Madrid, it's Sevilla. They've got the fan base is huge.
But to be
with
fair,
their
they haven't
stadium
been
capacity, 50,000
really well
at home.
season.
Yeah, they haven't played well, but they believe in that, togetherness as well. You have always to think of their performance being better in the Europa League, because remember, they were in the same group with Arsenal in the Champions League. Now they have dropped in the Europa League, so chances are now they want to give full focus to the Europa League. But this game is quite tough, especially for Atletico Madrid, who have to go to Sevilla Stadium.
I appreciate they played the Copa del Rey on the 25th of January, and Atletico won 1-0. And by the way, it's been a while since Sevilla has won a match. They lost their last 5 matches, and
they're
it's
number
really
15.
worrying.
It's really worrying. But I don't think they'll be relegated, because there's still 18 games of the season. If you look at maybe where they're standing, you'll have to say maybe give them a chance. They could finish within the top 12 teams in the season. But the log standing looks really exciting. Look at Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. They're just following behind of Girona and Madrid.
And Barcelona is playing Granada, 19th seeded position. Granada, it should be an easy win for Barcelona, and they certainly do need that to win, especially now that they're back up there trying to compete for the top 2 position. I think, is it you or Master who mentioned that, you know, Girona is having a great start. People may want to start not doubting them, but Barcelona and Real Madrid, it's still La Liga, it's still their league.
It's still a league, it's still their league, but I think at this point, it's, you know, you can talk about this when it's December, when it's October, but once it hits February, we are at the momentum of the season. So I would still credit them to finish within the top 4. I would have expected to see they could have fallen by December, but for them to be in February, it's still number 2. Give them that credit that they will finish within the top 4. And then Barcelona against Granada, there's a lot of noise in the back room of Barcelona. Xavi now talking about leaving, teams, players now not quite happy. Lewandowski hasn't not been himself. You know, Gundogan also was also talking about, you know, how the city is great, but he's still adapting. So a lot is happening at the club, and I think the earlier they change the management, the better, because we want to see the team getting back to their best. They're not performing accordingly, so let's hope that maybe after this season they can change.
Fabrice, we've come to the end of the show. Asibavalelisa emakhaya bonke sesivele sibeke kona ke kuvula kweParliament elishumi nakubili sima ukuthi nihleli nathi nibe nesuku loluhle nisale kahle.
The day you take Christ into your life, you begin to walk in a blessing.
Eswatini. Master ushiya simakazi. Sibukela abanye boNkulunkulu. uNkulunkulu utawukhwesha kithi. Eswatini. Singamlahli uNkulunkulu.
Sitomdumisa. Sisho sithi uyigwele somali.
Mase ubutholile lobungcwele